trust you in the process. I believe you, God. Fear can go to hell. Shame can go there too. I know whose I am. God, I belong to you. And fear can go to hell. Shame can go there too. I know whose I am. God, I belong to you. Fear can go to hell. Shame can go there too. I know whose I am. I belong to you. Fear can go down. Shame can go there too. I know whose I am. I belong to you. Shame can go there too. Oh, I just love that. Okay. I'm gonna unmute. So I just had to have you hear that, because that's what we're talking about tonight. Is we're talking about what I think. Now, this is just my opinion, but I think it's one of the things that is probably one of the most powerful processes. You know, I better just slow down, because one, I pushed record. And I always like to do just a little intro, because I never know who's going to watch us on the replay. I never know, maybe some stranger will watch us on YouTube and be like, who are these fabulous chicks? Like, I want to be a part of that. So Rachel, and of course we have the fabulous Lisa and the fabulous Laura on with us. And it looks like the wonderful Corey is joining us as well. So Rachel Valentine, Plexus Liveloved team, Plexus ambassador for over 3 years. Holy heck, 3 years, people. So a little bit of a regroup of a background. So I've been reading a couple of books at one time, which always seems to be my way. Like, do any of you nod your head? I can't see Corey's head, so I don't know. If you, there she is. Nod your head if you read more than one book at one time. So there's 2 no's and there's 2 yeses. All right, 50-50. We're a 50-50 split. I typically have like a stack of books this big, and depending upon my mood is like where they go or what's happening. And then I also have like Audible going on with books too. So sometimes I feel like I don't know where my head is. But right now I'm reading 2 books at one time. It's this one, John Maxwell, 25 Ways to Win with People. I almost don't like that. I don't like win. I don't know what that says about me. I don't like the to win with people. I really just like to love people better. To connect better with people. And it's a fabulous little read, but in conjunction with a really like deep water read, The Soul of Shame. Retelling the stories we believe about ourselves. Holy mackerel, do these 2 books together pack a wallop? Now, early on in my Plexus journey, I started following a few of the diamonds. Like, I really gravitated towards Jessica Heffley. And Jessica Heffley was always posting and promoting about fighting fear, right? Intentionally going in the face of fear. You know, I don't know, I'm thinking most of you have seen the little diagram with the circle that says this is your comfort zone, and then drawing right outside of the circle says this is growth, right? It's outside of your comfort zone. And so the first year or so, I was like, yeah, do it scared. Do you remember me telling you to do that? Do it, but do it scared. You won't die, right? I promise you won't die. And that is true. You won't die. Sharing Plexus from a place of fear, reaching out to people who intimidate you if you're worried. Last week we talked about how most things that are important in life really truly are at some point looked at as foolish by other people, and we talked about biblical perspective. But underneath this idea of fear, I feel like what stands in the way for actually most people accomplishing the things that they have been called to and purpose to in their life is this word shame. I really do feel like it undergirds every single emotion that we consider to be difficult. So definitely fear would fit in that category. So would loss. So would grief. So would poor self-worth, comparison, judgment, criticism, anything not enough. And so I wanted to pull a little bit. So you got to go with me because I'm going to translate a little out of this book because it's kind of, like I said, it's a deep water book. I was reading it on the way to the swim meet this last weekend, and I was underlining and highlighting everything. And then I figured it's not super helpful when you underline and highlight every single word in a book, because then what's the point? The whole book is underlined. But this is what he says about shame. And who is he? I should probably say this. Kurt Thompson. He is smart. He is a very smart. He's a psychiatrist that studies neuroscience. So like he gets the anatomy of the brain, but he's also very, very strong in his faith and looks for faith-based undercurrents for every single bit of science and research that comes his way. But he was saying, let me find it. So I put bookmarks all over the place. So he's talking about what is shame. It says, here's the deal. Shame is not merely a felt emotion that eventually morphs into words like I'm bad. As I will suggest in this whole book, this phenomenon, okay, this gets really big. This phenomenon is the primary tool that evil leverages, out of which emerges everything that we would call sin. As such, it is actively, intentionally at work, both within and between individuals. Its goal is to disintegrate any and every single system it targets, be that one's own personal story or narrative, a family, a marriage, a friendship, church, school, community, business, or political system. Its power lies in its subtlety and in its silence, and it will not be satisfied until all hell breaks loose, quite literally. Now, my thought about this is that whenever, of course, we hear ourselves say things like, I'm not enough, there's something wrong with me, I'm bad, or I don't matter, that of course that's one idea or origin that shame is at place. Shame has at its heart this idea of wanting to rob each and every single one of us. Rob us from our potential, from our calling, rob us from being connected to other people. It seeks to isolate us. It seeks to make us feel incredibly disconnected from other people. And it sells us a lie that says that we don't matter, that we don't measure up. And no matter what our best efforts are, we are just not going to cut it. Now, here's my theory with this whole Plexus thing. My whole theory is, okay, so let's say you have done your job. You've made a list of like 20 people. You're passionate. You know the stories. You're armed knowing that, yeah, gut health and how it connects to the brain. You know all of the things. And now you just know that you need to share it. And so you stare at this list in front of you. This is where things get really hard, because these names stand for more than just names on a list. Every single name is a person, and every single person that you reach out to has the potential to reject you, to ignore you, to ridicule you, right? Every single person has the potential to play into every idea that shame has ever planted in your head that says, you're not worthy, you don't measure up, you never will. Pack it in. And so right there, when you look at a name on a list, you are facing a battle, a really big one. One that I would say, in fact, is way bigger than yourself. When you make a choice to reach out to someone anyway, you know, what you're doing, you're not just saying, I'm doing it scared. You're saying, shame doesn't get to win. Shame doesn't get to define me. My worth and value is so much more than one person's no. One person's ignoring me, being silent, or one person's ridicule. My worth and value is connected to something more than what this one person or 20 people or even 100 people could say or do to me. Now, my hope is, I don't know you all personally. Well, most of you I do on this call, but whoever might listen on the replay, I'm sure I don't know all of you, but what I do know is that along this journey, I don't know how to do this journey. I hope you're getting this, and I'm sorry, not sorry, if you're not in the same place. I don't know how to face shame every single day without looking at where our core worth and value comes from. And to me, that's so much more than affirmative mantras that you say to yourself in the mirror that say, I am worth it, I am strong, I am smart, I am wonderful, I'm capable. No, your worth and value is anchored in the fact that the maker of the universe created you to love him, to glorify him, just in your being. And if not a single person says yes to you for your entire life, in fact, if you never got out of bed, if you ate bonbons from your bed and you did nothing every single day, guess what? The God of the universe, I want that dog. The God of the universe would still say that he is deeply infatuated and in love with you, that he is full of pleasure for you and delight with you. And so there's not a thing that you can do or not do that changes that. There's not a person alive on this earth that changes that. There's nothing you can do to change that. So to me, when you step in and you share something that you know is helpful and good, and people reject you, guess what? That doesn't define you. In fact, it makes you stronger. The act of stepping into that place makes you stronger each and every time. Does it mean it doesn't hurt? Heck yeah, it hurts. Heck yeah, because you're human. It's gonna hurt, but it doesn't define you. Here's the other thing, and I think this is really important. Dr. Thompson goes on to talk about in length about how shame at its core separates us from other people. And he begins to talk about the antidotes to shame. And what he says is, because shame seeks to isolate, the very antidote is to speak its ugly message out loud and to share it with trusted others. Let me say that again. Shame's power comes from the fact that it tends to take you into the dirt. It takes you to a hidden place, to a place that says, I'm just not going to let people know or get people close. The very thing that takes the sting out of shame is not easy. It is not easy, but it is the only way. And it is to name it out loud what the message of shame is to trusted others who are walking the same walk that you are. And so maybe you have noticed that over the past while, I've been communicating a lot more in our team chat. I've been doing that for a purpose, you guys. I've been trying to put myself out there because here's the deal. I struggle with shame just as much as anybody else does. I don't have this all figured out and fixed. As far as I know, this is going to be a lifelong battle, right? Until I come to meet Jesus face to face. But if I'm being told that the antidote to the thing that buries me is speaking it out loud to nullify its power in a group of others who are walking the same walk, then that would be you. That would be you. That would mean that when I wake up, so for instance, I'm going to own something. I didn't do a lick of IPA today. Not one lick. I mean, I talked to you all a little in the chat, but I didn't reach out to a soul. And inside of my head today, as I was preparing to meet with you, I had chatter. And my chatter sounded like this. What kind of leader are you? You're not doing the thing. You're not walking the walk. You do a lot of talking, but you're not walking. Who's going to follow you? You don't even do it. I even had thoughts about canceling this, right? Of packing it in and saying, it was a hard day. I'm too tired. Let's just not even talk about shame today. Let's just not do it. It's just because because it's hard and it's vulnerable. But what good would that do? What good would that do? It would pave the way for me to call it in and pack it in tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And I know there are going to be days where each of us don't do IPA. Like, that's not the thing. I'm not holding anybody to a perfectionistic, rigid standard. But I do feel like as your leader, I should show up. And I didn't. But tomorrow is a new day. I could do it tonight. And tomorrow is a new day. And then the next day is a new day. And the next day is a new day. But do you know, I have these types of messages in my head every single day with you. Because I feel like whenever someone like myself, maybe I'm not alone. Maybe there are people around in this group who would rather be stoics and do it themselves. Like, they've just convinced themselves that, you know what, there's work to be done. It's easier just to do it yourself and not depend on other people. Other people are hard. Other people let you down. Other people don't show up. And you know what that translates sometimes for me in my head is other people don't show up because you don't matter enough. That's what that translates into my head. That's what that little shame message does in my head. I know it's a lie, except it doesn't feel like a lie. It feels like the truth. And so what I'm trying to do as your leader is I'm not trying to have a pity party. I'm not trying to say, woe is me. I'm really trying to just model the fact that I can't do it by myself, nor should I. But neither can you. You can't fight shame and how it plays itself out with your Plexus business by yourself. You weren't meant to, and if you try to, it's going to be a really hard, lonely journey. And it's going to take you to task. It's going to hurt. And it's not going to feel as, you're not going to have the support that you need in order to go the long haul. So my thoughts for this is hard and simple at the same time. I'm going to keep modeling showing up. And sometimes when I'm dogged by those shame-based messages, I'm going to speak them out loud because I believe that that robs them of their sting and their power. And I'm going to invite you, holy crapola, to do the vulnerable thing along with me. Not everyone will. A lot of people won't, because people are all at various degrees of engagement in this process. But for those of you who see a future with this business, who see yourself as growing as leaders in this business, I want you to imagine what that would look like, to have a group of leaders who say, I'm about to sit down with my list and here's my head trash. And then guess what? There's going to be other people who say, girl, I got your back. I got that head trash too. Let's go in the face of that head trash together. Let's just do it. Let's just do it, right? Remembering a different message, remembering a more powerful message. So if the head trash says you are not enough, maybe, just maybe, somebody will remind us, no, you are an adoptive daughter of the Most High God. You are more than enough. Actually, you don't have to be enough because He's enough in, with, and through you. I feel queasy. I feel like I'm going to throw up. That's okay. That's okay. Get yourself a bucket. And we'll be here on the opposite side. I don't think you'll puke, but grab yourself a bucket. And we're going to be here to celebrate for you when you do the hard thing. I guess what I'm saying is if you don't do 5 IPA a day, you're not in the doghouse. If you do one reach out, if you do one follow up, I want to hear it. Don't hoard it. Don't be quiet about it. Share that you showed up, because in the showing up, you will encourage other people to show up. When you battle something in your head that says you're not equipped for this and you do it, you encourage somebody else to do it too. This is how this works. Last thing, when someone tells a story, when somebody else tells a story of vulnerability, of hard, guess what that does inside of another person who's a tuned in listener? They begin to subconsciously work through their own story of hard at the same time. Now, this is the magic. I was just talking with my business partner in my therapy today, that this is the magic of therapy. It's not that we have all of this wisdom. We are not that smart. Do you know what it is? It's that we show up with other people. We allow them the space and the non-judgment to be able to share their narrative of pain, of not enoughness, of brokenness. And we reflect back something bigger and more profound and powerful. that they, in fact, are so much bigger than that story. But what you all get to do that therapists don't get to do is you get to subconsciously work through your own story of not enoughness at the same time. And then with that, guess what happens? Both parties, the sharer and the listener, are made stronger. They work out another story, another narrative together. Here's what happens though. If one person steps out on a limb that feels really, really, really shaky, and they tell their story of brokenness, of vulnerability, of not enoughness, and nobody listens, and everyone is silent, it's like they spoke into the abyss, and every shame-based thought is reinforced. Nobody cares. Nobody else feels this way. It must just be me. I'm the lone loser in the group. Can you follow me? Have you ever felt that way? That you have shared something with another person and they have just kind of given you a blank stare or talked right around that thing as if it didn't matter and left you feeling like an idiot, basically, an idiot. Well, that is not the culture that I want with Live Loved. I don't want anybody going out on a limb and feeling like a lonesome idiot. I want us to go out on a limb, have other people hear it, recognize it, and say, me too. Because it is all of us. There are no lone idiots. We all feel the same way. We all struggle with the same shame narrative. I wasn't going to swear, honestly. The sh just came out. We all struggle with the same thing. So we might as well just own up to it. Because then we all get stronger. I'm going to look for one last quote. Let's see if I can find it. It's a good one. It's talking about how shame dismantles community. It disintegrates the brain from other brains, leading to isolation, which we talked about. But I need community in order for everything to become integrated again. I can't do it. I can't do it by myself. He was talking, Dr. Thompson, he was interviewed by Jenny Allen at the IF gathering. She's greatly wowed by Dr. Thompson, who showed up in his crazy Argyle socks like every neuroscientist should. He showed up and he was sharing and he said, okay, Jenny Allen, I want you to think about the fruits of the Spirit, right? Like love, peace, patience, joy, kindness, self-control, perseverance, all these fruit of the Spirit, right? And he said, do you realize that not a single one of them, not a single one of them is brought into fruition in isolation? They are all meant to be in their full effect when they are in community, in relationship with others. You will never experience true joy by yourself, or peace, or patience, or goodness, or kindness, or self-control, or anything. We are created to be our fullest when we are united with other people who see us and we see them. That's how we are made. And sometimes I think to myself, I think I preach to the choir because I myself, this is my biggest issue. This is my biggest issue. Again, is I would rather do it alone. But I'm learning not to. And remember I said I was reading this book at the same time, 25 Ways to Win with People or to Love People Better. The number one thing that gets in the way of this number one way that gets in the way. I've been really thinking about how I describe myself as a self-defined introvert for most of my life. That's not true. I was just really, really afraid of people. I was just really, really afraid of letting people get close. And so I learned to hide and to put on a tough exterior, to wear a lot of masks that looked strong, that looked confident, that looked pretty, that looked much more than what I ever felt I was. And I'm learning I don't need to wear the masks anymore, but I do need to let people in. I do need to let people in. And so do you. And I'm telling you, you cannot walk this journey very darn far before you have to go toe to toe with your own shame dragon. What that shame dragon speaks over you and how it seeks to isolate you and how it seeks you from living into your passion, your purpose, Plexus or no. It stops you from experiencing true joy. It stops you from experiencing creativity. It's meant to just stop you in your tracks and make you go on autopilot and just quit. Quit trying. Quit trying. So, thank you. It's 7:34. I'm going to end this for tonight, but my big ask for you all is to put one big toe each and every day beyond what is comfortable, beyond what shame tells you you deserve or who you are, and act into the what if, maybe, just maybe, I am so much more than what this narrative that I've been telling myself for a very long time tells me who I am. Every single day. What that would mean if you showed up in Liveloved team and you just spoke to me. And Joy's joining us. Joy, we're about done, so you can catch us on the replay, girl. I know I'm heartbroken. You're just meeting, but you can listen later. Show up for each other. Get to know each other. Like, share your insecurities, your doubts. To say, I'm dealing with the same old shame message that I've dealt with probably every day of my life. And I just need to call it out into the open. I just need to say what it is and rob it of its sting and of its power. I think something pretty terrific, something really, really freeing could begin to happen in this team. I think it could, not only be revolutionary for your Plexus business, but honestly, more than that, it could transform your mind, your soul, and your spirit. It could be the best, biggest, scariest venture that you've ever done. Walking alongside with other sisters, just naming your truth out loud. And I promise you, I pinky promise, I will not let anybody be hurtful or tear you down. I won't let that happen. I will have a side conversation with anybody who's snarky, with anybody who's a curmudgeon, with anybody who's critical or judgmental, because we don't have room for it. We really don't. We're all doing the best that we can. We're all just trying to show up with our broken, marred, gnarled up selves, trying to become stronger and better and live into who God made us to be. And so this is going to be a place of safety. You have my word. And if I fail you, you take me to task on it. Okay? I got your back. But more importantly, let's have each other's back. All right. Much, much love. I'm going to go spend some time. I'm not doing my IPA because you know what? I haven't seen my loves and they need their mama. And that's not an excuse. That's truth. Tomorrow, IPA, 11 o'clock. I will be there. And I'll be talking about it. It doesn't get easier, but I keep doing it. All right. Good night, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.